Good morning and welcome to the Forex Daily Update, brought to you by Pepperstone on Wednesday the 23rd of January 2019. I'm Darren Sinden and you can follow me throughout the day on Twitter by using the handle @ds_Pepperstone. Okay, let's take a look at the overnight changes and price moves to be aware of. And really the story overnight on the global foreign exchanges has been one of pushback against the US dollar. You can see here gains for both the Australian and the New Zealand dollars against their US counterpart. There were gains also for the Chinese yuan and the Canadian dollar against the US currency. The one exception perhaps that stands out is the dollar against the Brazilian real, where the dollar took 1.62% off the Brazilian currency, despite that speech yesterday, or perhaps even because of that speech yesterday by new Brazilian President Blair Bolsonaro, who was talking at Davos. Dollar index for its part, 96.31 trading shortly before we recorded the video, completely unchanged on the day. So once again, very much looking for directional cues there, the trade-weighted dollar. Okay, what's on the calendar then? Events that may move the markets today. A bit of a busier calendar today, but of course we have ongoing the World Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland. We've already had the Bank of Japan's January interest rate decision and monetary policy statement, outlook and press conference all earlier this morning. We also had in the interim all industry activity index from Japan for the month of November, and we'll look at the Bank of Japan's rate decisions and comments in a little bit more detail later on in the video. To come this morning at 7:45 GMT, we'll have business climate data out of France for January. Then at 9:30, a speech by the Bank of England MPC member Broadbent. At 11 o'clock, staying in the UK, we'll have CBI Industrial Trend Survey data focusing on orders for the month of January, and then we'll cross the Atlantic at 12 o'clock for MBA mortgage applications out of the States for the week of January the 18th. Then it's over the border to Canada at 13:30 GMT for Canadian retail sales ex and inclusive of autos for the month of November. Back into the US at 13:55 for the Red Book Index data for the week of January the 18th. And then at 1500 we stay in the US and we have the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index data for the month of January, another one of these widely followed regional Fed surveys. At the same time, back in Europe, we'll also see the release of consumer confidence data for January out of the Eurozone. At 15:30 we're scheduled to have the EIA crude oil stock exchange for the week of January 18th. I'm not sure if we're going to get that data though due to the government shutdown, but if we don't, we can look to 21:30 and see the API weekly crude oil stocks data instead of privately collated data this, but equally that's for the week of January the 18th. And to finish the day at 23:50, foreign bond investment and foreign investment in Japanese stocks data for the week of January the 18th. Okay then, breaking news and comment that's caught my eye overnight. And first of all, US equities sold off last night on trade and growth concerns and the continuing government shutdown, which is starting to worry investors on an increasing basis day to day. Meanwhile, the Bank of Japan kept its interest rates and QE program unchanged, but it did lower its inflation outlook for 2019 and 2020. At the same time, as we saw, industrial activity and earlier balance of trade data from Japan disappointed, with exports falling the most for nearly 2 years and imports dropping sharply as well. So signs of a slowdown there in the Japanese economy. It could just be a monthly blip, a bit of seasonality, but that's certainly something that we want to keep an eye on. I'm sure the Bank of Japan will be doing likewise. And finally, world leaders, including Shinzo Abe and Angela Merkel, are speaking today in Davos, and there are plenty of speakers aside from those two, so I'm sure the media will be kept very busy indeed. Okay then, food for thought, something to take away with you into the trading day and beyond, and why not think about this? What do global CEOs think about global growth? These charts come from the PwC CEO survey for 2019, a survey of 1,378 chief executives in more than 90 territories. The first chart asks the question, do you believe that global growth will improve, stay the same or decline over the next 12 months? The black line represents those that believe it will stay the same. Those that will improve. The grey line represents those that think it will stay the same. The red line, those that believe it will decline. Still a majority believe that global growth will improve, but the numbers of people or CEOs that believe it will decline is rising, and the number that believe it will stay the same has been declining. And then here is a regional breakdown of the responses to these questions, or to that question indeed in particular, and plotting the changes between 2018 and 2019. Worth taking a moment to study this chart because it is quite a data-rich graphic. Okay, please take the time to read this risk warning thoroughly. Trading CFDs and foreign exchange on margin can be a risky business. If you're in any doubt about those risks or the suitability of leverage products for you, then please do contact your Pepperstone account representative who will be happy to talk you through that. And as I say, do take the time to read this risk warning thoroughly. Thank you for your time today.